All right, Kyle Shanahan. Has he lost his magic, John? The conversations that we have with Niner people through text, not Niner people, the conversations we have about the Niners, you and I, we're on some group chats where we get these in the text messages. We see them in the comments. We see them in the replies to some of our social stuff. We see them on YouTube. Kyle Shanahan, right? Has he dramatically changed? He's been an offensive guru for so many years. Did something suddenly change? What's going on with this offense right now? Hey, we're glad you're watching this video. Subscribe to our channel and like the video.
Because 50% of you are probably not subscribed. Also, check out the podcast below in the description.
We're sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
#1 vodka in America. I just think, you saw this yesterday with Lincoln Riley. You can be a really good coach and do dumb things. He is stuck with Spencer Rattler because, I don't know, because that was his incumbent starter, when it was clear Spencer Rattler wasn't a very good quarterback. They bring in the 5-star guy that the fans were chanting for. I often think that the media loves doing this, and this is where I have nothing in common with the profession, love shitting on the fans like they're the village idiots. They chanted for Caleb, I don't know, because they had seen Kyler Murray, they had seen Baker Mayfield, and they'd seen Jalen Hurts. They're an educated group. They know what a good quarterback
What
looks
about
like.
when the fans chanted for David Carr?
But yeah, that happens when you suck really bad.
Well, okay.
And Alex Smith was not very good at the time. Like, obviously, you chant for the backup when the starter sucks. But in that situation, they just wanted something different. It's the fans sometimes go, that was a terrible play call. And I think naturally coaches go, yo, what does that fucking guy know? And the media's like, the coaches know it all. Well, it was a terrible play call. He had several terrible play calls today. He's been pretty bad this year calling offensive plays. Now, is Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes' quarterback? Would it be much easier to call plays with those guys? Of course. Could he have had both of them? Yes. But that's a whole nother conversation. He's not coaching very well this year. That doesn't mean he's not a really good offensive coach. That doesn't mean that if he was fired tomorrow, teams would line up to hire him. That doesn't mean he's an idiot now.
It doesn't mean he's about to get fired.
No, he's not. But you can go through a rough stretch. We've all gone through rough stretches in our lives. After you can go from doing well to doing poorly to doing well. You don't become an idiot overnight. When Andy Reid, my last year in Philly, went 4-12. Didn't mean he was an idiot or just some things went wrong. Like, some things are getting kind of weird. And his coaching, I'm a big believer in, like, there's an instinct with an offensive coordinator. I think with defense, you obviously have educated guesses because it's a reactionary position, based on down and distances, their history of play calls, like what they like to do on second and short to what they like to do on third and long. It's a lot of educated guesses, and I think it's very predicated on having some good Jimmies and the Joes. Like, a lot, there haven't been many great, like, how did Belichick become a legend? LT and Parcells. How did Buddy Ryan and the '85 Bears defense? I don't know. They had like 4 Hall of Famers. What about
Phil Jackson?
Yeah, it's like you usually
he
need
got
really
Michael Jordan to play like a champion.
But you would agree that offensive coaches, a lot of them have become famous when they can do sweet shit schematically. And it feels like their feel for play calling on a given day, on a given season, on a given several game stretch, they have a natural feel for it. And Kyle always did. And it feels like this season, there's no rhyme or reason to any of his play calls. And it might just be as simple as his quarterbacks are playing really poorly. But I've seen him with poor quarterbacks execute a lot of cool plays. And just consistency of like, whoa, you move bob and left, bob and right. It's like Wilder looking for Chubby Fury's, rights and lefts. And right now, every single play feels like its own entity. Like, do you agree with that? Like, every single play, it's like, we're just see what we got.
I think he's really searching for a rhythm, and you need things to work in succession for there to be a rhythm.
Well, in his offense specifically, because so many things are boots and nakeds and waggles, right?
Nudes.
Which is scary. He's always been very run game oriented.
An offense in rhythm is obvious, and an offense not in rhythm is obvious. And there's some weird stuff going on because you're right. He's looked in rhythm before with Nick Mullins. Like, I've seen that. I've seen him in rhythm with Nick Mullins.
Didn't CJ Beathard beat these guys last year?
I've seen him in rhythm, not as much, but in rhythm with CJ Beathard.
He's had drives.
We keep going back to injuries. That's a factor. Offensive line at times factor. No Mostert's definitely a factor, right? I mean, Elijah Mitchell has some, like, you can kind of feel some rhythm with the way they use Elijah Mitchell. I felt it with him.
Kid can play.
There's not a clear hierarchy right now in terms of the receivers after Debo. Like it's Travis Benjamin.
What was that?
Sanu. It's Aiyuk. Aiyuk seems to like earn his way onto the field late. Aiyuk always makes a play late. Like, all right, he returned 3 punts without whining. Let's get him the football. And the play he made late was fantastic. But I don't know if receivers get hot.
You see what Hines on the Colts said today about
No.
punt returns? He said, ever since I was in high school, every time I go back to return a punt, I tell myself I'm not going to live.
Yeah. Like you have to not care about your life to return punt.
I tell myself I don't care about my life before it's like that's what Ayuk's willing to do that. So it's not a toughness thing with Aiyuk.
I don't know what it is, but they do not have the same quote unquote the same lineup all the time.
Isn't that on Kyle though? Like clearly Aiyuk. Here's the thing that's not arguable is Ayuk's talent is immense.
I don't know what the deal is with him, but if we're going to talk about the play calling first, they are not they don't have the same guys out there all the time, which hurts the rhythm. Jimmy, I think, hurts the rhythm. And clearly with Trey, I think it's going to take Kyle some time to get in a rhythm with Trey Lance. Like that's the other part of let's see him play Trey Lance so that Kyle can get in a rhythm with it, right? Trey's got to learn the offense. Part of the job, we always say this about coaches he doesn't shove a square peg into a round hole. What that means is you're learning the player. That's what that means. How do I help this guy? It's not all conceptual. It's not all what you can draw up on the jet on the way back from the pro day. It's also about let's put him on the field. Let's see what happens. And let's take some stuff out. Let's put some stuff in. And I think that's part of it too with him. He's got to learn. Like if Trey Lance is going to get better, guess who's going to get better calling plays for Trey Lance? Kyle Shanahan, in theory.
But here'd be some questions. They've now had Aiyuk for 18 months on their team. He clearly can haul ass, and he can make plays with the ball in his hands. Why not give him an end around? Why not give him a quick screen? Why don't they? Why do they like?
Well, how about the touchdown? You're talking about Aiyuk. Sorry.
Unless it comes out, which I have not heard this, but this is the only thing I can guess. Is Aiyuk just being an asshole in the building? Like, is he driving Kyle nuts with showing up late or something? Because if that is not the case, it's inexcusable what's going on with him right now. Because now we've seen back-to-back or like 3 weeks, he's made critical plays, and then today he makes a big play kind of out of nothing. He is one of on your team that is struggling, and the margins are tiny against these really good teams. You're desperate for a win. How are you not utilizing one of your more talented players?
Yeah, is he dropping the ball in practice a ton?
Who gives a fuck at this point in time, though?
Well, I'm just saying that would be an explanation that I go, oh, okay, I understand that. Like I could comprehend that explanation.
I kind of could, but then in the game,
you might disagree with it, but I would understand it.
To me, that one
wouldn't like it, but like in the history of time, guys who don't make plays don't get on the field in practice, right? Like
yeah, but not a guy that's kind of proven himself as he did last year.
I agree.
But
to me, that if I told you that's what happens, is like he's just been really bad in practice. You'd be like, all right, he should play because he's Brandon Aiyuk, but at least that's an explanation I can understand. You'd be able to comprehend that.
Well, what I would be able to comprehend more is like, his effort in practice has been really shitty.
Yes, well, that would be an easy thing. Yeah, that's also easy to comprehend.
Because they're so desperate right now, how would they? And it kind of feels like as the game goes, like you said, they realize I'll put 11 in the game. Like
yeah, and look, if it's that
from the jump,
if it's that, like, well, maybe we can help him be a better practice player by getting him going in games a little bit. Now, you don't want to do that necessarily, but if that's what works, that's what works. Now, again, we're just making things up here. We don't know
because everyone's kind of at a loss on that one. I would say that's one of the bigger head scratchers to anyone that's watched this team, right?
I'll tell you, yes. I would say it's the number one head scratcher because we've seen Aiyuk be sweet, and then you watch the offense not be dynamic, and you go, God, if only you had a dynamic guy like Brandon Aiyuk. I'll tell you, I know people are getting mad about running the quarterback on fourth down, like behind the center. Be like, oh, God, whoa, that play didn't work. I fully expected that to be the play on 4th and 1 at the end of the game when they did the use check sneak. And I was in advance okay with the play because at least it's logical. At least it's logical on 4th and 1 to run the quarterback wherever, but behind the center, or behind the guard, or wherever you're going to run them. It's perfectly logical when you think about the explanation for why you run the quarterback. What's the explanation for why you run the quarterback? You have one more guy.
You're saying a called quarterback run?
Yeah, it's a math problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's when people say like, well, what does the quarterback run game do for you? It's a math problem, right? you have one more guy to block as opposed
because
to
usually that guy hands it off. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's only 10 guys involved in that play. When the quarterback runs, there's 11 guys involved in that play. Hey, you like wine? Go to wineaccess.com/ham. Get $50 off an order of $150 or more.
You guys want to gamble? Well, if you do want to gamble, go to mybookie.ag, promo code HAM and the number 1. Promo code HAM and the number 1.
So to me, that 4th and 1 made complete sense from a math standpoint. If they had run Trey right up Alex Mack's ass and they got stuffed, I'd go, it's 4th and 1 at midfield, game on the line. Our strong guys got to be able to push their strong guys. And we got a big ass quarterback here. Maybe he can leap and put his football over the first down line, right? Then Juszczyk gets underneath there. A play that they clearly knew was coming because everybody crowded around the nose tackle. And it's not a math problem anymore because you got Trey and the running back there not doing anything. I hated that play. Easy to hate the play after the fact. I'll just tell you my take before the play was run Trey up the middle. If you get stuffed, you get stuffed. But 4th and 1 in the NFL, sometimes you outsmart them. Sometimes you just got to go earn it. And that was a moment to go earn it.
Well, this is back to what I'm saying about Kyle. He clearly has proven over the years he knows what he's doing as an offensive play caller in the National Football League. And part of doing that, I got Andy Reid on my back on the TV going right now. If you go into any of these offensive coaches, the one thing cool about working in a football office, if you win, well, you lost, it sucks. But if you win, by like Tuesday and Wednesday, before, I guess, by Wednesday the players are there, but like by Tuesday afternoon, they have watched all the film on the opponent, and on the whiteboards are fucking plays all over the place. I mean, ideas are flying, different looks. It's where the genius is created. And then the players come, and then you hone it in. But I would imagine a large percentage of sweet plays over the years have at least started in the minds of these offensive guys on Monday or Tuesday in the film room, then with a pen on a whiteboard. And then at practice, they kind of finagle it to kind of figure it out exactly. And I would imagine, and who knows, that I'm not saying that it always happens that week. It might have happened last year and they never utilized it, right? It could have happened in training camp. It could have been a McDaniel offseason idea when he's fucking having cocktails, on his vacation. I don't know exactly. It didn't have to get, input into the offense this week. I'd be shocked though if that play wasn't an offensive coaches meeting and they're bullshitting creatively and they developed that. And a lot of times that happens. And it works sometimes. And this goes back to Kyle having an off year. It feels like since Kyle's been here, even on his bad teams, they were always doing creative things that worked. And then on the good teams, it really worked. Those type plays, that shit when Kyle's on works. I'm not saying that exact play, but you know what I mean. That concept of doing, it was clearly unique. I don't know if I've ever quite seen that. The fullback come in motion, but he's going extra fast, goes right under the center. Like, that in the meeting, on the whiteboard, inside the office, was probably like, this is going to be sweet. The problem is, you got to go, it wasn't just 6 inches. It was probably more like 1.5 yards. And clearly both linebackers realized, he's not going to pitch it to Trey Lance. Or maybe, I guess he could have. Maybe that's the next iteration off that play. Like, Juszczyk operates as a quarterback, pitches to Trey Lance, then maybe you get a throw off it. If you're listening, Kyle, implement that. But the two linebackers and everyone at the line of scrimmage assumed that Kyle was just going to operate it like Tom Brady, right? Quarterback sneak it. There's nothing he could do. Like, Kyle, you can't break 7 tackles at the line of scrimmage. So that to me speaks to Kyle Shanahan, his mojo being off. Because that play, the moment it happened, you immediately texted me like you hated that. I got 17 texts like, what the fuck was that? It never had a chance. But it wasn't just a never had a chance. It was like a curveball, right? It was a unique play. It wasn't just some basic fullback wham play, right? It was kind of cool in theory. But again, these offensive guys, they think it was cool, and then it doesn't work, and it's an embarrassment.
I just don't even quite understand what made that play cool other than you never see. Like, what was, at the end of the day, what was different about the play? The person was different, but the play was the play.
Yeah, it was terrible. Again, it speaks back to Kyle is off. You can be a really good coach and just be off. Like, to me, you can't. There is no way you could argue like, yeah, he's normal Kyle, because that play was atrocious.
This, to me, I'm showing on YouTube. You made me think of this because I remember tweeting about this play a couple of years ago.
Is it Arkansas?
It's Arkansas. This is 2019. A push pass from the punter that gets intercepted. And this was one that, like, on paper looked great. We're going to jump shoot the ball to the guy coming in jet motion. And it was a disaster. And yeah,
but here's the thing, though.
But they knew that one was coming, John.
Who did?
The Cardinals defense. They knew exactly what was about to happen.
Well, just like Auburn, 31 didn't bite. He was waiting for. So even if it went to the player in red, he would have tackled him right there. But I bet in practice, Auburn on their scout team in their special teams, no different than potentially use check. And who knows? Maybe they didn't run that play this week in practice. Maybe they ran it mid-August. It worked. So you just have it in your back pocket. And in a game when you're struggling on fourth down, you're 1 of 5, and you have been stopped several times, you kind of are searching for something. Like, they had to feel pretty confident about that when they called it, clearly.
If you had shown me the play, hit pause and said, how do you feel about this? I would. Again, I know I'm saying this after the fact, but I, as it was happening, was going, no. Because, again, it is like you are giving up the one advantage that everyone says you have when you run the quarterback. I'm not saying you have to run the quarterback all the time. I'm just saying on fourth and a long one. That was the other thing. It was a long one. And Juszczyk, I thought Juszczyk had a really good game. This is not about him.
Well, nothing he could have done. I mean, there were 17 guys right there. It would have been the greatest first down in NFL history if he would have thrown off a tackler, broke through J.J. Watt, and ran into Collins and leaped the ball over. Like, he had nowhere to go. I just think Kyle's just off. Sometimes you're just off. I've been off. Have you ever just been off? You just feel off?
Oh, yeah. I was off 2 weeks ago.
It happens. You're just off. And you just gotta, sometimes I don't even know what it is. Maybe just a good night's sleep. Maybe the bye would be good for him.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get lucky. Sometimes a few plays just have to be made, and that helps everybody get things going. Sometimes you call a good play that doesn't work. Sometimes you call a bad play that does work. But that's when, it's the old, somebody's got to step up and make a play. I'm not just talking about football. I'm just saying some things got to work. Like, if they had won the game, if they had beaten the Cardinals somehow, some way in the end, some crazy stuff happens, pick six, whatever, they win the game. Maybe that would be a thing that gets them going. It's like, we were not good today, and we won a game we shouldn't have won. Right? I mean, that Packer game.
Well, when they had the ball and down 10-7, you had the ball at midfield, I was like, they could win this game, and they did not deserve to win it, right?
Right.
And
now,
then
they also could have won the Packer game and didn't deserve to win it. So that's part of the problem, too. Like, the result isn't always the thing that tells the story of the game.
No. But I think the healthy thing is sometimes, like, if the Niners would have won this game, I think our conversations would have been pretty similar. Because I got a text today. Someone was like, I think if the Niners win this game, it'll just BandAid everything that needs to be said. I'm like, I think people are pretty alarmed with what they're saying. If they would have pulled this game out of their ass, I think the conversation would have been like, keep the quarterback. He's got a long way to go. Kyle, you need to, like, maybe take next week off, Kyle. Just go to fucking Cabo again.
Cabo, not again.
But just clear your head. I don't know.
The one area where I disagree on the BandAid is that they would have beaten a divisional opponent who was the last unbeaten team in the league.
When I say BandAid, I think sometimes a BandAid's a team for looking at their problems. I do not think that would have been the case, though, with the Niners, with the fan base. People would have been relieved of a win, but I think a lot of people wouldn't have been acting like they're the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs or something.
Yeah, right? and I doubt it would have changed anything for them, other than maybe
it wouldn't have. It just would have been like, holy shit, thank God.
I would not go to Cabo.
Just go San Diego.
They lose a quarterback every time he goes to Cabo.
Just go somewhere. He just needs to get away because he's off, and he's really off. And he, Bosa, Trent Williams, Kittle, in theory, one day, hopefully, Lance. He has to be one of their biggest assets. Kyle Shanahan. When Kyle Shanahan is not game in, game out going, he's one of the reasons the Niners kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gap between kind of off and really off is very small. And I don't think it takes much to get them going. I think the hard thing is going to be maintaining it because they have so many inconsistencies in their lineup right now, with their health right now, with the performance of their offensive line right now, and with whichever quarterback they have is also going to battle inconsistency. And I think that's part of this.
But you saw today, like even Arizona is a good example, and it made me realize like guys go down at a high rate in just games. Like they lost, Simmons KO'd for a little while. Rodney Hudson,
Oh, yeah.
boom, out. Like you
Yeah.
just lose guys.
I'm just saying,
the 87, who's a pretty good player, that tight end, knee blown, probably out for the season.
No
right?
doubt. My point is just I think they're. Oh yeah, the Max Williams play. I think they're.
How bad did that?
By
you
the way,
can tell,
just
like that.
and I hate to say this because you love guys that play like that, but it just goes back to the get your
He's got
8
a little
yards and
Kittle
live
to
to
his
play
game.
another play.
I refused when the crowd when they clearly showed the replay, and then Fox went to the other replay. I turned my head. I'm like, you know what? John Middlecoff refuses. I just went third person to do anymore. And I used to be addicted to this. Like I was just locked into the replay. I wanted to see it. I refuse. I do not need that.
I just need one's enough for me. Now, when it happened and you missed it, you're like, show the replay. What happened? But
I don't think it was that bad. It's not like his leg was snapped, but
yeah, I didn't need to see it. Just the
didn't
same
either.
way I didn't need to see Devontae Adams' eyes from like 8 inches away when he was lying on the field. Turned out to be fine, thankfully.